Miami Dolphins, rookie minicamp, guys report, and a certain somebody wasn't there. Not really a big surprise, as there's a lot of people not showing up to rookie camps. What does it mean? Why is this happening now? Are the players being greedy? Are the owners being greedy? We're going to get into that in a little bit more. Hit the like button on your way in, guys.
Turner Yell makes the stop in the secondary for Denver. 1st and 10. The fake. Good. Block in there, and down it goes. Caught at the 30.
Welcome to the Fins tailgate. It's where we elevate. Miami Dolphins talk, yeah, we never hesitate. Breaking news, hot takes, we keep it up to date. And when the fans speak up, the panel resonates. We live that aqua and orange from the field to the mic. Breaking down the plays, man, we talk it every night. From Tua to the defense, you know we keep it tight. NFL moves, you know we got the insight. We open up the floor, yeah, it's your time to shine. Fans drop the heat with opinions realigned. You got concerns, bring them, we're gonna chime. The Fins tailgates, where we keep it prime. Welcome to the Fins tailgate, it's where we elevate. Miami Dolphins talk, yeah, we never hesitate. Breaking news, hot takes, we keep it up to date. And when the fans speak up, the panel resonates. The NFL's changing, but we stay on the grind. Latest breaking stories, we don't waste no time. From the trades to the rumors, we make them all align. At the Fins tailgate, we always on the climb. We're repping the Dolphins, but it's NFL-wide. From South Beach to the league, we keep it worldwide. Got the fans engaged with the energy supplied. Come kick it at the tailgate, we're riding high tide. Welcome to the Fins tailgate, it's where we elevate. Miami Dolphins talk, yeah, we never hesitate. Breaking news, hot takes, we keep it up to date. And when the fans speak up, the panel resonates. So if you love the game, you know we got the gate. Tune in, speak out, don't wait, it's your fate. This is the Fins tailgate, now watch us dominate. Miami Dolphins, NFL, yeah, we integrate.
What it is, what it do, tailgaters. Welcome to another episode of the Fins Tailgate with your host, your friend, myself, El Capitan. Tonight on the tailgate party that never seems to stop, Dolphins rookies reporting. I mean, listen, nothing's really going on. They're just doing medical checks, the full gambit, right? Doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that, some short stuff, some grab bag nonsense. Things like that. But as we talked about yesterday, a certain somebody did not show up. Jonah Savaiinaea. I think that's how you say it. Savaiinaea. Didn't show up. And no real surprise, right? There seems to be a movement happening amongst NFL players not in the first round, demanding more guarantees and protections in this. And there's a lot to unpack with what's really going on and really happening. It's got people feeling a couple certain kind of ways. Some people are, for the players, pay them what they're worth, give them what they want. I hear, pay them whatever, especially in the Miami Dolphins case, because he's a guard. We sadly to say, desperately need good guard play. And, on a line that's been porous at best for the last, I can't remember when. Even when we go and pay for really good answers like Teron Armstead, having the injury concerns with him doesn't really help. Dolphins only being super productive and dominant offensively when we perceive to have a very good line. Which, riddle me this, right? Who would have thunk it that the trenches were so important? So Dolphins fans are like, listen, pay this kid whatever the hell he wants. Other people are like, who the hell does this guy think he is? You get drafted, go to the NFL. You haven't even begun to be an employee for this team. You've contributed nothing. Other than what your status is, your product, your brand of whatever it is that I've purchased via draft capital. And this guy Jonah Savaiinaea, he not only did he cost a second, but we had to give up a third to move up to get him. So it's a little bit pricey. And it's not that these players aren't getting contracts, it's that they're not signing them. Currently, right now, still as we sit, only 2 out of the 32 second round draft picks are signed. And there's some third, fourth rounders that aren't signed either. There's players doing this all up and down. In fact, there's a first rounder that hasn't signed. And it looks to be absolutely ugly. We'll get into a little bit of that. Before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about this. Why is this happening? I got Tonk in the back. I'm going to bring Tonk up. Tonk, what's up, buddy?
Yo, what's cracking?
You know, we're going to get it. I want to get right into it. But before we do, I want to shout out to everybody in chat right now. We got Smarty Jams in here. Yes, Smarty Jams. They don't allow rookies to participate without signing. And we're going to talk about that. Tonk, I seen you chiming in against Michael K, who's always got something doink to say.
Yeah.
Donk or whatever. Donk. Dude, I don't care what he says. That is him kind of hitting on you, if you're being real. He's it's weird.
Good thing we're geographically let's see.
All right.
I can't think of the word.
Yeah, no problem. Back It Up Binge Podcast, my boy JB. What's up, my brother? Salute. Delusional Patriots fan in here. Toby I Speak watching on Kick. Welcome, Toby. Yeah, sure, buddy. I'll have to figure out how to follow you back, but sure, why not? Let's see what else we got. DP in the house. That's our fault. We shouldn't have had a second rounder. Why wouldn't? What's that mean? I don't get that. F Money, what's good, F Money? Damn, been a minute since I seen you. Bryson in here. What's good, Bryson? Ms. Relentless, salute, always getting in there. All right, dog. I'll hook it up. Anywho, yeah, hit the like button, everybody. If you're watching on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, X, CB Radio, Cup on a String, watching through
walkie-talkie, Nextel.
Yeah, walkie-talkie, CB Radio, watching through the glass at your neighbor's house on their TV, wherever you're watching.
All you peeping Toms out there?
Yeah, all you peeping Michael K's out there. Your cell phone, wherever you're watching, make sure to subscribe.
CIA, FBI, make sure you're
and come over here to YouTube and like it and everything. Real Talk Perez, what's up, dog? Finally getting in here. Finally catching one live. Good seeing you. CB83 Radio. I like that. CB83 Radio. That was good, Miss Relentless. All right, so let's get right into it. 30 out of the 32 NFL second rounders are still unsigned. Miami Dolphins rookies report to minicamp today. No real, breaking news into like more stuff. What's up, Game Boy? What's going on, buddy? Costa Nostra. Luke Pack, what's up, everybody? Luke Pack says, I'm on my mom's cordless. Hurry before she wakes up. Yeah. Ali, you want to slide up in here, Ali, whenever you're ready? Come on through. Anyhow, Dolphins rookies were set to report today. Now, to my understanding, there's been no official news on the situation with Jonah Savaiinaea. That's how you say his name. Jonah Savaiinaea. There's been no official news on him yet. See, last time I tried to say his name the other day and I couldn't really get it, Ali, I went and freaking made sure I understand homie's name. I'm trying to learn his name. He's getting my attention all of a sudden by not signing. I better know how to say his damn name if I'm going to talk about him. Anywho, it's not a surprise that he didn't show up, but to my understanding that he's not necessarily reported because as whatchamacallit, Smarty Jams pointed out at the top, he can't report because technically, as an unsigned employee, these are the mandatory things coming up that you would be on whatever type of financial deal. The bonuses are hitting for some players. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is like an integral part of the contract that is written up that he is not partaking in. So technically, he cannot report. But to my understanding, that he did show up to be in person, but there's limitations on what and how, and that the line of communication is very clear, is at least with the team, the coaches, everything like that, and that pretty much everything else is on a business sense to holding everything up. But what does this mean, Ali? What does this mean, Tonk? What does this mean that's happening? Because it's a bigger thing that's going on. Ali, what do you think?
I think players are just trying to. I'll be frank with you, and this is kind of like how I feel. I feel that athletes today don't really care about playing. They don't care about the stats. They care about the money, and that's it. I mean, even what's his name? The guy that is for the Bengals, who's a first-round draft pick, right? He's a first-round draft pick. He's holding out, and they're saying that he could very well, just stay out and then go straight into the draft next year. In fact, it was reported today that he reported to Texas A&M for training camp. He's training with Texas A&M, his college team.
So I didn't want to pivot all the way to that, but that it is literally interconnected with what's happening, right? That's Shamar Stewart, the first round pick for the Bengals, and it has been reported that he may not play this season, and he went and returned to Texas A&M. And whether that means he's back at practice, that's what they say. He's practicing with the Aggies, but technically he cannot play college football after declaring to the draft. But that doesn't mean he has to go to the NFL after having been drafted, in which case, to my understanding, there's zero compensation and there's zero anything. Now, is he going to be in some form of, for lack of a better term, blackballed going into next year's draft if he's just going to train all year and then go in? That's remained to be seen. I would imagine the NFL is not going to look kindly on him wasting a team's first round draft pick. No one else is going to. He's not going to get any more money by holding out, not signing whatever the deal is with Cincinnati. That's the facts. I don't care. I do not care whether Cincinnati was only offering him $48 million in guarantees over fucking 6 years. It doesn't matter. He is going to get significantly less from anyone or not play football. That's the NFL will do that. There's nothing he can do to boost his stock. It is at an all-time low. So this is it's strange to see a first-round pick completely say, nope. And it's all over contract negotiations. It's not, I got to play for Cincinnati or blah, 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 blah. It's all over contract negotiations. It has nothing to do with anything else. So it's kind of crazy. And all of these second rounders right now, it's not so much what they're asking for is bigger dollars. It's more about guaranteed amount of those dollars. Because technically they're only guaranteed 3 of those years and they can be washed out and lose money. They could sign like a $12 million deal, let's say, and be let go and only earn 6-7 of those million, and the team gets off them, which I say that's kind of fair. If you ain't figured out a way to at least stick around for your 4th year on a small deal like that, adios, muchacho. But if you're meaning to tell me that I got to guarantee all 4 of your years of money, then how is that? I understand that this is tied to the bigger thing. There is a massive amount of money coming into the NFL. They're going to jump damn near 20 more million every year for the next 4 years minimally. They're going to gain like $100 million in salary cap over the next 5 years. Easy. It's going to go. I mean, right now it's at just under 280 million for salary cap.
And how far are we away? I'm sorry. How far away are we from that? You said
Away from what?
the extra $100 million in cap. How far
I
are
would
we?
say 5 years minimum.
Okay, then it makes
Minimum.
complete sense why, and this just proves my point. This is about money. It has nothing to do with anything else, right? They want their money now because these second rounders know there's a chance they may not be here when that 4 or 5 years from now when that kicks in. That's why.
I think it's been a trend, honestly, for players to start doing this, and it's been happening more and more. Like it was like first it was like older players like Brett Favre. Remember Brett Favre was doing it. When he went to the Vikings, when he went to the Jets, he just wasn't going because he didn't really need to. And then that's just one example. But I'm saying that I think as a whole, things have started to progress in this direction, whether players were using contract as an excuse or whatever reason they're holding out or doing this. There's always a reason for it. They always have a reason, an excuse, but I think that it's happening more and more.
Yeah, but my pushback to that is, and I like the comparison with Brett Favre and some of these other players. The difference between what's happening with these rookies, second rounders, and those players put something on tape. They came and proved themselves, right? Whereas these rookies haven't even touched grass yet. They haven't even sniffed the surface yet. We don't even know what they are. They could be complete trash. They're basically telling the NFL, you need to make your bets now on who you think is the better, who's going to succeed and who's not. I don't make my bets like that. I make educated bets. And right now there's nothing to go off of. F them. They can screw themselves. You don't want to put the work in. I don't need you in my league. That's basically how I look at it.
And I wasn't making a comparison of how long Brett Favre has been here compared to how long they've been here. I'm just saying I've seen this trend among all players.
Well, I would say this, Tom. It's obvious. Yes, we've seen players change the way the game works by asking for money, and the way contracts are done. And I mean, even more recently that I can remember is when we drafted Jake Long in the first round. Umpteenth years ago, he got all this guaranteed money, and then the next draft they had put caps on who's the first overall, who's the second overall, who's the third for the first round. They capped them off because these players were getting these massive deals because they were getting picked, and then they were saying, well, I'm not going to sign unless I get a lot of money. And they would hold out, and you're like, damn, here I am, picked a player. So then they gave them caps on their deals to what's the most they could make. And then it'd been quieted for a while. Well, now seems like it's back. So, and when I say it's back, players are now saying, look, fine, you're going to give me, I'm the 5th overall pick. You're going to give me, $40 million or whatever it is for 5 or 4 years plus a 5th year option. I want that $40 million guaranteed. And they would manipulate the contract. They would only get like $25 million if they missed a year and a half due to injury. And these players, honestly, they're getting stingy. They're getting a little stingy. And I understand, listen, this is what it is. Yes, the money's going up and the money should go up. But to now say, I want you to guarantee the dollars, that's going to hold these teams hostage and be beholden to a second round player that you could find out after drafting him in year one, he's washed up. He's sitting on 12 million guaranteed no matter what. And he don't care. He got his bag and he's off. He's out of this bitch. He's sitting on the sideline and all he's doing is eating up space and he's eating up money that I can't get back. I can't get it back. So to me, there's gotta be a way in which to meet in the middle. There's gotta be, because I can't I can't imagine the NFL comes out on the losing side of this. And I have some suggestions,
the
right?
NFL isn't going to come out on losing.
They're not. They're going to figure out a way to create.
They're the ones that are hosting the job.
Yeah, exactly.
So people are always going to want this job. There's always going to be people wanting this job. So if you're not going to do the best job you can, we're going to find someone that will, regardless of how long it takes, contracts, negotiations, this, that. You're eventually going to get filtered out, or you're going to get beat out by the person that is showing up more. So this, this behavior, like I said, you could rotate it around whatever reason you want. I just feel like it's only going to catch up to. It's just going to catch up to them eventually.
The best ability in the NFL is availability, and that usually pertains to health. But if you're going to take yourself willingly out, not only is that an availability problem, but it also sounds potentially a character problem.
You're missing out on time with players that you may not get that much time with again, because there's especially if it's focused on rookies.
All the time you miss, you ain't getting back. That's
exactly. Like think about it. Like going to high school, when I went to high school, they had a ninth grade first day where we went there the day before school started, so we could get accustomed to.
Yeah, every fucking high school does that. I took my daughter so she can know and learn.
But I've only done that once in my life. I don't have kids, so I've never experienced that. So.
I got it, but like it was better to say this. They still do it today.
Okay, yeah, but there's a reason for that.
Yeah,
right?
You want to learn the lay of the land.
You don't want to go to rookie camp. You're going to miss out on important rookie things. So pull your head out of your ass.
You also have to understand that going to rookie camp, why it's important is, like, as a rookie, it's not just for the coaching and the lay of the land. There's stuff that they do with the rookies that I think is beneficial to them, both financially, as a professional. There's a lot of stuff that they do with them.
Yeah, there's programs they have you go to and all that stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm really interested to find out what you think some suggestions are that they could meet in the middle. One would be, and this is just my idea, you have whatever suggestion or thing that you do to make it fair for both sides, you need to make it in a way that it doesn't just give them everything they want on one side and pay them what they want without actually having them to work for it, right? You want the contract to be fully guaranteed? You have to meet certain incentives. That's an idea that I have. It has to be incentive laced. Because I'm not going to give somebody that's only going to, let's say, play half the games.
Well, they don't want it on incentive. They want a guarantee. That's the thing.
I think that's the only way you can do that.
And it's hard right now because literally you're going to play Russian roulette. Because here's the thing. Number one, and Cap for Life said it earlier, there's a bit of collusion going on. There's 30 of the 32 guys, right? 30 of the 32 guys in the second round have not signed. And the only other two that did sign have signed fully guaranteed deals, which is what everyone's going for right now.
One of them is actually going to lose his deal, but that's okay.
Why is he going to lose his deal?
Off the field. He got arrested for domestic violence.
Texas kid got arrested?
No, the running back from Cleveland. Judkins got arrested, and he punched a girl. I'm really pissed off. It's a whole story, bro.
I seen that the other day. But he wasn't the one that signed.
He has a contract that he signed. If he's if he's fully guaranteed, which I
don't think he was their second rounder then, because
he got drafted in the second round.
I don't know. Whatever. Anyhow,
I'll find out.
Yeah, you need to look a little bit on that because that something's not lining up on that. But only 2 out of the 32 have signed, and both are in fully guaranteed deals, which is what they're after. And Cap for Life, again, he pointed it out. It says collusion. And he's kind of right, because the ultimate goal is to get guaranteed dollars. And it looks like they're well dug in. And these teams aren't going to be, could it be an unprecedented?
Right, he hasn't signed yet. You're right.
Yeah.
My bad.
I don't think I don't think there's going to be, it could be, but there could be an unprecedented event where you'll have 95% of an entire draft class in one of the rounds not play football. As the first rounder from Cincinnati has already demonstrated, these kids are ready to do whatever it takes for whatever movement of collusion they have gotten. And I agree, there is some form of collusion, which leads me to believe whether it's probably going to get worked out and they're all going to get guaranteed deals. But this is where I would meet them in the middle, because say half of those guys by year 2 or year 3 season, during the season of their third year, they're Channing Tindall, right? And Channing Tindall with the Dolphins picked him up in the 3rd round. The guy cannot get on the field. He has very little snaps. He hasn't panned out in any way, shape, and form. I mean, Cam Smith, if Cam Smith doesn't show up, imagine if we gave Cam Smith $11.5 million guaranteed. And here he is in year 3 with damn near no snaps. Or we're watching UDFAs literally play over him. And they're still saying he's still got to grow up. It's been the same story on the kid. He's just he's a knucklehead, apparently, I guess. I don't know. He needs some maturing to do. Is that where we're going to be? Well, I would say this. The only way, because you're not going to put the toothpaste back in the bag. They're willing to hold their ground on this. I think it's ultimately going to come, and they're going to have to put a cap on the round, just like they did in the first round. And they kind of laid the blueprint. And if you guys listened to me years ago when I talked about all of this stuff, I literally said the blueprint has already been laid with the first round and who gets what, depending on what pick. They're going to follow that same method and do it for the second, and so on and so forth. But I digress. I think how they could meet in the middle, because they are going to get guaranteed dollars, and you're going to find yourself paying guys guaranteed money that are busts, and everyone's just going to have to equally deal with it. That's what's going to be. Everyone's going to have to equally deal with this nonsense. Then I would say, if I'm an owner, how do I benefit this in some way? I would say, then we hold an option year over that final year of the 4th year deal. And if you say you've had, say, great 3 years and you're heading into your 4th year and you're like, I'm not playing until I get a new deal. I've outplayed my status as a 3rd round running back. I've been number 1 in the league 2 of the last 3 years and blah, 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 blah. And I'm not going to play. Then I would put a stipulation in. Well, not only are you voiding your 4th year and the money that you're owed, but you're going to get penalized for money you've already been paid because you guys forced me to give you guaranteed dollars. And that, I'm telling you, that is a real, how badly you want this guaranteed money. Because I'll tell you what, a lot of these guys are going to quit once they get those guaranteed dollars, and guys that ain't worth a damn, and guys that their local little media team pumps up and everyone figures out in the NFL they can't hack it. You know what I'm saying? They're going to make off with money, and they ain't serving the players union. They're not serving the game. They're not serving what their true end goals are, which are to protect the players from getting screwed. They're going to screw themselves out of this deal. They're literally going to take the negotiation power out of their own damn hands, and they can't see it coming. They're all nearsighted, me, now. And the reality is once you have a set scale on something, you lose any individuality to make a case for yourself on why I deserve what I deserve. That's just the facts. What's going to happen now? Second year guys who, become defensive or offensive rookies of the year are now, well, I made only $11 million in guaranteed for the next 4 years. I'm not going to play anymore. You know why Brock Purdy kept playing for such little money? Because it was only 1 year, 2 years. He better he better figure it out. My point is that they're kind of going to step in it themselves with all this, I believe. Now, I could be wrong. But that's how I think about it, man. And what do you think, Ali?
I kind of agree with you. I think that they're taking their negotiation tactics away. They're not going to be able to negotiate the same way they used to. But I kind of just thought of something that could meet them in the middle.
What's that?
And you've been talking about this a little bit. So they want more money in the sense they want it all rather than, work for it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
What does Roger Goodell want?
He
What's
wants
the one
to
thing that
make
they've
the
been
owners
asking
happy.
for? No, what's the one thing he's been asking for? And it's been slowly but surely getting there.
More games.
More games.
Mm-hmm.
And we know the first rounders, which will more than likely be the Stars, those later games, that game 18, 19, or whatever, is not going to be a number one draft pick. It'll more likely be the depth pieces or the backups, which are like the second, third, and fourth rounders. So that being said, you want that fully guaranteed. The NFLPA is going to have to agree to more games. That's something, a way they could maybe meet in the middle as well. But ultimately, I do agree they're setting themselves up to shoot themselves in the foot. There's going to be no room for negotiating. They're not going to be able to ask for more money down the road or anything like that. Ultimately, they're really, I understand in the hindsight, in the short run, it's definitely not a bad idea. It's a good thing for them, but it's a bad thing in the long run. That's my thoughts. But ultimately, think about it. More games. Okay, you want guaranteed money? You got to play the games. I think that's an even trade, to be honest. I don't know. What do you think?
I honestly, Ali, I never considered that type of negotiation table tactic. And I think you're right. I think, number one, the Players Association, the players themselves, and anyone who's with football knows it's an inevitability of that expansion. And that's ultimately going to take more games. In which case, if you're going to ask players to play more games, they should be entitled to a little bit more money, right? It's not, I signed a contract for $10 million each of the next 5 years. And yeah, it sounds like I'm making $50 million guaranteed because that's how it works. But you pump up one more game, 2 more games over those 5 years, and all of a sudden you're getting free labor out of me. There's no renegotiation if they add any more games. Maybe this is part of the negotiation. Ali, that's a really great point by you. Because it's something I don't think anybody has considered as a part of this movement, and maybe the Players Association and everybody also is seeing the forest through the trees, and they're trying to get out in front of it.
I mean, that is the one argument that you look at. Players that are in like hockey, Major League Baseball, or basketball, they get paid ridiculous amount of money because they play more games. The season is much longer, right? So if you want us to give you fully guaranteed money over 4 years, fine, but you're going to have to give something, and that's more games. That's what it comes down to.
It's crazy.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, and honestly, there is a little bit of sensibility in all of that. And the guarantees would also stipend any of those talks from further coming up. Like, hey, we're giving you guaranteed, It's actually really smart.
That's the other thing. Like, technically, that would help the NFL too, make it quicker to the fact that you were talking about yesterday, when it comes to the fact that if they give them this fully guaranteed, eventually they won't even be able to ask for an increase because the cap will be limited for that position.
Mm-hmm.
It'll get there quicker.
Jay Biz says more games are ridiculous. I mean, but it's inevitably going to happen. You say more games, and they've already added more.
I'm sure he also said it was ridiculous when we went from 16 to 17.
I mean, it is kind of ridiculous to ask what's ridiculous.
They'll probably move away and just do 2 preseason games, and then have
or no preseason and just have like scrimmage like games and stuff like that. But what they ultimately need to do with all this money coming, they need to literally capitalize. And they're getting in all these network deals, all these app deals, and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. They need to expand the rosters. And I'll tell you what, if they're going to expand the rosters, because they're going to expand the games, and now they're putting caps on guaranteed dollars through the draft, if I was going to plan a business expansion from an owner's perspective, that's exactly what I would do. And it's exactly what I said 4 years ago on this channel on what would happen. That, and Ali, you and I have had these discussions back and forth about the international expansion, what's going to happen, what needs to happen, and it's more players. They're going to have to expand the whatchamacallit, the cap. They're going to have to like figure that influx of new players, even if it's 2 more roster guys and 2 more practice squad guys, which they've already increased practice squad guys and how you can protect them. And, they're actually carrying, like, I think it's 6 more players that they can protect from the last 4 years. They've increased that with the more games that they've added. So it's an inevitability because they're trying to make room for more games, to make room for more teams. Got to have more teams. I would like to see some of these cities in the United States get them, but let's not act like they're not looking at, England, Germany, Brazil, Mexico, Canada, even maybe some of the Canadian states. They're looking to get it involved. But hit the like button, everybody. Subscribe if you're new. If you're watching on X, Twitch, Kick, wherever, make sure you guys are coming over here to YouTube. I know that it's getting a little wonky on some of the other ones. YouTube seems to be pretty good. I know sometimes, like Twitch or Kick or X or whatever, the stream won't drop, but we'll still be live here on YouTube. So make sure you guys are getting over to YouTube, getting in with the discussion, and yada, yada, yada. Also, guys, make sure you're checking out tftgnetwork.com to find all of not just the tailgate stuff, not just, the Fins tailgate stuff, but Miami Dolphins gear and all your tailgate needs. There's new stuff on the tailgate website every month. Every month there's something new. So make sure you guys are checking it out, tftgnetwork.com. tftgnetwork.com. Make sure you guys are checking it out. All the good stuff. Eric Elmer says they start putting teams in different countries. That's the end of the NFL will die. Well, I don't think they'll put some of our teams there. They're going to add their own teams.
Okay, but what about Canada and Mexico? We could definitely have teams in Canada and Mexico.
Bro, we're already doing it. We're playing in Spain. This year. The Dolphins literally are. It's
literally like Tijuana is literally like 5 miles from San Diego.
Listen, just like they took, I know it is, but God, Tijuana is wild. They would want it. Whatever, it doesn't matter.
Mexico City.
Yeah, Mexico City's where they've played some, and they had that Chargers game in Mexico City. I think it was Chargers Raiders, and it was a big problem. Or no, it was Chiefs Raiders. Anyhow. It was like 10 years ago. I'm sure they figured it out. This is coming. They've already, just like they took the Thanksgiving Day game, which was always Dallas, and then now there's a bunch of teams that play on that Thursday, and they were like, oh, well, because we, play only these certain teams on Thursday. There's a couple teams that play on Thursday. It's kind of unfair. So now everybody's playing Thursday night football. And then they're sending teams, to international games. Well, now everybody's getting a little bit of that international. Like, it's not just certain teams are going. Everybody gets there in the interest of fairness now, not profits. Fairness, everyone has to suffer. So it's an inevitability. It was coming. It's one constant that we've talked about since the conception of this show is the international expansion and what it's going to look like and how they're going to do it. And right now, we're seeing this thing on face value with these second rounders and some of the other round guys that haven't signed contracts that aren't going to show up because they're trying to get guaranteed monies. And the first rounder who's completely said, ran up out of here. You know what I'm saying? For the Cincy. It's only, speeding up the process of what's going to ultimately happen. There's going to be guaranteed set dollars. Everybody's going to get guaranteed money. And the players are going to be like, yay, we won. And really, 3 years later down the line, they're like, oh, man, damn, I'm locked into this contract. I signed this 4-year deal as a third-round draft pick, and, I should be hitting the market, but I'm locked into this thing. And that's what's going to happen. So that's it. That's what it is. And speaking of contracts, speaking of monies, speaking of dollars and cents, you see Sauce Gardner signed that deal, Ali? See Sauce Gardner signed a mega deal?
Yeah, for ridiculous money that I don't think he deserved.
Me either. I don't know why they think Sauce Gardner is so good. First of all, 4 years, $120 million. He's literally the top cornerback getting paid in the NFL over J.C. Horn, over Patrick Surtain, which I think Patrick Surtain is a full head height better than he is.
100%.
Do you know how many freaking interceptions Sauce Gardner has?
I don't know it off the top of my head, but I will say this: he was getting cooked left and right last season, and he was not. He's not.
Jalen Waddle. He can't hold Jalen Waddle's jock, dude. From what every time I see it,
he's not even top 5 corner in the league, in my opinion. He's not even a top 5.
Listen, I agree with you. Not even top 5. Sauce Gardner is not top 5, and he's getting paid the most. The man has only 3 interceptions in his career. That's a guy that's getting all that money.
He's getting that paper, baby.
I mean, this is a Jets move for sure. This is a Jets move.
When you're in a market,
it's the Department of Miami Efficiency.
No, that's the Jets that signed his dumbass.
Oh,
personally, I think the Jets basically are doing kind of what the Panthers did recently, right? When you're in a market that, especially with a team as dysfunctional as the Jets, the only way you can keep players is by paying them, right?
Yeah, we've been a part of this nonsense too.
Yeah,
we've had to pay players to come in Miami.
Well, that's why I thought y'all were still talking about the Dolphins.
Yeah, Tonk was like, "Oh, Dolphins having to overpay their talent to keep them here." No.
This is the Jets, bro. This is the Jets.
Yeah, the Jets are
and
that.
That's what I truly believe. I kind of feel like they could see that he wasn't happy. So how do you make him happy? You give him the biggest whopping contract.
The Jets take on players that other teams are having trouble with all the time.
Yeah,
players that are unhappy with the team.
They're usually unhappy with the Jets, and they demand to leave, and the Jets pay them a boatload of money to stay. That's typically the case. The only team that I've seen take somebody they draft that demanded more money, and they were willing to pay them, and they still left, is the Jaguars. I've watched that happen a lot. Jaguars will get a good player, and they'll be like, "I don't care. You can't pay me enough to stay here."
The Jaguars, it's weird. Like, we're making fun of the Jets because their organization is dysfunctional. So is ours. You know what I mean?
But Jaguars, I don't think the Jaguars ever had function.
That's true. That's true. I just don't think
this new owner, they've had no function.
I just don't
they
think,
haven't. They haven't had a really good.
well, this is what I wanted to say. Let me just end real quick. I personally think the issue with the Jaguars is that where they're located in Duval County, that market is so small. There's really nothing for any of the players to really capitalize on. New York, it's massive. You could put out a fashion brand, a new product, or whatever. Miami, it's huge. You can, we see players all the time popping up stores or restaurants, all that stuff, right? In Duval County, there really isn't very much. So what do they have to do? They have to really pay.
But what does that really mean, though, Ali? How does that have anything to do with the players and the team and the organization? It has nothing to do with that. I mean,
yes,
look
at the players. I'll tell you why. Because players nowadays, unlike the old days of the old, not like the 90s or the 80s and so forth, players nowadays are coming in with a brand, and they want brand exposure. They want to capitalize off their brand from the get-go. And if their market is small, that means the exposure is small, right? That's why players that recently wanted to go to, and this is all sports. That's why players run to places like LA or even us being a destination, Miami.
I think that kind of stuff is dying by the wayside, though, Ali.
I don't agree
other than Miami, because teams don't want to play in New York, the taxes. They don't want to play in California, the taxes. The marketing ability doesn't really matter when you look at a guy like Patrick Mahomes that can market himself in Kansas City, which honestly, if you're looking at markets, Kansas City's market's massive. I know they say, "Oh, it's just Missouri." No, they take up a massive swath of Middle America that are KC fans. You're right. You're right in the extent that the Jaguars don't have a massive piece. But I'll tell you this: when they were good, just a short few years ago, when Trevor Lawrence was having that year, from all of the surrounding, like the place was a buzz. They were throwing money. Everyone, the gear was sold. I'm telling you right now, the Jacksonville market.
Let me ask you something. Why did players like LeBron? That's a prime example. Why did he come to Miami and why did he go to LA if that didn't matter?
Well, he went to Miami because Dwayne Wade was there and convinced them to come and that they were going to build a super team and win championships, which they did. That was the real reason why.
I started in
right now.
I get it. People don't want to play in Salt Lake City, right? But just like in basketball, they don't want to play in Salt Lake City. But I'm telling you, Salt Lake City is not Jacksonville.
What about Giannis, who can get the biggest amount of money he wants? He wants out of Milwaukee. Why?
Of course, because Milwaukee sucks.
Bigger market.
Milwaukee sucks, though. Milwaukee is not Jacksonville. They got nothing to do with market. Milwaukee fucking sucks. It sucks. There's no beach. They got shitty taxes in Minnesota. They're fucking terrible. They got a lot of fucking problems in that state and Milwaukee at the precipice. Where the fuck's even a rich guy like that living, bro?
In all of those,
look at this, Ali. It's just like Cincinnati. Cincinnati's got a huge market. They make a bunch of money. Old football town. It's a shitty place to play because the town sucks. Joe Burrow got his fucking house robbed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He literally had all his shit stolen.
But ultimately, they're about their brand. I can tell you, and I can tell you right now, players already admit it. I wanted to go somewhere where I can get better brand exposure. That's what they say all the time.
I got to be honest, Ali. I think that brand exposure type of thing is only subjected to players that are on their last contract, not the young guys signing mega deals on their first deals. I completely disagree.
And I'll tell you why I disagree. The exact reason of what this conversation was all about from the beginning, when it comes to the second rounders holding out for money, it's all about money. Brand is part of their money. And I'm telling you,
that has literally nothing to do with it.
I'm telling you straight up that these players coming out of college are already thinking about brand, what products I can promote, how I can make money. They're already thinking about their next hustle that is not just football, it's beyond football.
I would agree with that, but I don't think Jacksonville in Florida, a literal, tax exempt, no state tax state, with beaches, Jacksonville, as much of you want to think it's a shithole, it's really not. And the brand, I mean, big deal. You live in Jacksonville, and then you have your little place in Miami. I mean, that's where everybody's at anyhow.
Here's the thing.
Unless, I mean, we're the only if the players are going to want brand and city, and I get to have exciting lifestyle and a beach and this, there's really only one place to go, and that's Miami. But guess what? They're not just flocking here. We're having to pay them extra to stay. And Jalen Ramsey said you couldn't pay me to stay, and this bitch had just left. So what are we talking about? His brand? You think I get the brand in Pittsburgh, right? He wants to go for that Pittsburgh brand, or is it just he wants to go win? So if Jacksonville's winning, they're not going to care about how much branding you could do, because if you win, the brand is builds itself. The NFL, those lines don't matter as much.
He's an exception to everything, to be honest. But the reality is,
I mean, he did leave Jacksonville, though, didn't he? It's funny I picked that guy.
Aaron
Rodgers, Jacksonville and Miami.
Who did?
Jalen Ramsey.
Oh, I thought you meant Aaron Rodgers. We were talking about. Listen, Jalen Ramsey. He even said out of his own mouth about his brand when he went to the Rams.
Yeah, he don't want his.
When he went to the Rams, he talked about it. That's my whole point. I've been talking about this for a while now, and I understand that you disagree, and that's perfectly fine. But here's the thing. Come into Florida, and because we have no state taxes, don't mean shit anymore. Because the reality is, no, it doesn't. And I'll tell you why. It absolutely does. I will tell you why it doesn't. Because if you have a smart or a competent accountant, they'll figure ways to reduce your taxes, even if you go to a place like Cali, or you go to a place like New York, or you go to a place like Texas, or wherever you go. It doesn't really matter. That's why if it was true what you were talking about, everybody and their mother would want to sign with the Jaguars, with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or our own team.
You're acting like, listen, you're saying his brand. The Rams don't have a brand. They don't. They literally, LA, they're sharing a stadium, and LA just lost their team from,
I think
they had the transfer.
What I mean by brand, I'm not talking about the team.
Do you mean he chose to take less money to go to a Super Bowl contender, to win a Super Bowl, to boost his brand?
First of all, he didn't take less money to do that. He took more money.
He did. No, he did not. No, he did not. Go look at the money he made in LA. Go look at the money he made in LA. He was not getting the type of money he got. After his brand got reboosted because he won a Super Bowl, then Miami paid him the fucking money. That's what happened. If you're talking about Super Bowls, well, that could be any team. Mm-hmm. That could be any team that's winning a Super Bowl. I mean, whatever. I would say this, though, to get back on topic a little bit.
His contract with the Rams was a 5-year, $105 million extension in 2020.
See, look at the deal, because they got him. I thought they got him via trade from whatchamacallit.
They got him from the Jaguars originally, but then they signed him after his rookie deal. They signed him to that 5-year extension. He got massive money at that time. At that time, it was big.
I don't know. I'll have to look more into it. I kind of remember him being a little bit of a bargain for that team. And then oh no, this is what it was. His backloaded guaranteed dollars on that we inherited. And so ultimately they paid him the least amount in that contract, and we had to rework the deal, and he got all his money. We paid for their Super Bowl, is what it was. If you look at the money, and when we traded for him and got him, we inherited pretty much all the backloaded money on that deal, and he got it all guaranteed from us, and a rework deal, because there wasn't guarantees beyond that year. Like there was like avoidable years, in which case we inherited all that. So yes, you're right, but if you look at what the Rams spent on him to get the Super Bowl and then trade him away, and that's why we got him for so cheap via trade too, because all that money was on it, if you remember. So my point is that he was good. He had an incredible brand with the Jaguars, as you know, real tough. I guess again, does it matter? He had a brand. He was really good to
When
Jags.
I'm talking about
That's why they
brand,
traded
I'm not talking about the team, though, bro. I think that's the part you're missing here.
I know you're talking about brands and cities.
I'm
and
talking
there's
about
these markets.
I'm talking about is in brand of like maybe he has a clothing line just like Tyreek does down here. Do you think Tyreek is going to be making the same kind of money off of his non-football deals in Kansas City versus down here in Miami? No, he's making boatloads more money here in Miami, right? Just like if he went to New York, he'd be doing the same thing.
I disagree. I would tell you this, that Kansas City market's bigger than the Miami market. Bottom line. I know you don't think so that it is, but if you see how far out they only show Kansas City football from that city, it would blow your mind. That's why the Broncos massive. You're like, oh, it's Colorado, it's different. No, they literally it's literally Kansas City and the Broncos that broadcast to like 5 of the surrounding states around them. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So branding, if you're talking about money, guess what? You win a Super Bowl. If Tyreek Hill would have stayed with Kansas City and won those Super Bowls, he could write his ticket in any of those states around there and make money. Could he write it and move to Miami and make it? Probably not. See what I'm saying? Now, if you want to talk about where you want to live, it's a little different. But I think branding.
I want to disagree because I firmly believe that these players also look at that kind of stuff, bro. It's not.
I think they want. I agree with you that they look at where they want to live, to not just be rich, but live the life they want to live. And I gotta imagine that Jacksonville, not a bad place to pick with the state. And I'll give you a perfect example. The last company I was working for, we built houses in North St. Johns County in a place called Nocatee, and several of Jacksonville players lived there, and I finished the build on one of them, on one of their players, a cornerback. I can't remember his name, but I mean, he's a guy who played, like he was playing, and he was on their team. They had a deal. I mean, it wasn't like a big notable name, but if you're a Jacksonville Jaguars fan, you would be like, oh my God. In fact, I want to say I talked about that with Roach because I know he's a Jags fan. But Nocatee, nice area, modest, middle class to upper middle class. Houses in that area are going for like 1.2 million to like 600,000, upwards in some of the neighborhoods to 2.5 million. Just a nice, safe suburban area. And sometimes that's kind of what they're trying to vibe with anyhow. And that's sometimes where the market, where it meets their means. And they do have other things that they offer. They got expensive. I mean, whatever. Fuck Jacksonville. How about that? I do want to get back to what we were talking about a little bit earlier about the teams, or excuse me, the players along with their representation colluding for these guaranteed dollars, right? Where they're colluding and how they're strong-arming the NFL.
Well, that's only going to backfire on them eventually. If this is starting to happen, if this is a thing, then it's only going to backfire on them.
Well, last month, and this flew under the radar. This was a couple weeks ago. It really flew under the radar, but the NFL reportedly encouraged, the commissioner, Roger Goodell, reportedly encouraged all 32 teams to reduce contracts for veteran players at the March 2022 owners meeting. And they've colluded to do so. And at the precipice of this, and a little bit more beyond it, some of the players they're really trying to stick it to, Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson, which we saw what happened there. There was a literal stalemate that could have put Lamar Jackson to Miami, and there was trade talks. They wanted to give him, but they wanted to control these inflation type of contracts. And I got a little bit of audio here from Pro Football Talk, Mike Florio with Pablo Torre, and shout out to Spaceship
You mean
that's
Pablo X
on
story?
X who got me this information, got me this video, because this is interesting stuff. Listen in.
According to this document, this concealed arbitration ruling in a landmark NFL collusion case, it was discovered that J.C. Treader, quote, exchanged texts expressing frustration with Mr. Wilson's non-fully guaranteed contract, end quote.
Mr. Wilson being Russell Wilson. And J.C. Treader is well, I'll let him explain.
And the answer to what J.C. Treader said that he wanted suppressed, according to this theory, is at least partly contained in a separate document.
This is what he requests. Wait till you hear who J.C. Treader is.
Transcript of a text exchange from July 8th, 2024, which was filed as part of this whole legal proceeding. And what I can now report is that J.C. Treader, in a series of text messages that he sent to then executive director of the union, DeMaurice Smith, repeatedly insulted Russell Wilson. At one point, he used an expletive that I will not say here. J.C. Treader also called Russell Wilson a quote-unquote wuss. And then he said of Wilson, quote, instead of being the guy that made guaranteed contracts the norm, he's the guy that ruined it for everyone.
J.C. Treader is an NFLPA executive.
NFL Players Association executive?
Executive.
So what does that mean?
He is actively, well, he's mad at Russell Wilson for the money he got paid, which I kind of agree. Remember, he signed that mega deal with the Broncos. I mean, all this money guaranteed, and the Broncos, after 1 year, let's ride. Remember that? Let's ride. He's a flub. He completely did it. And this guy's saying, look, he's kind of ruined it for everybody. And because now these guaranteed contracts ain't coming down the pike. And it's his fault. Now listen.
End quote. So I'm not like falling onto my fainting couch because someone made fun of Russell Wilson, which happens a lot on the internet, in fairness. But what 4 union sources believe is that J.C. Treader, this once and future leader in his mind of the NFLPA, didn't want to be publicly documented saying this stuff about one of his fellow members. If J.C. Treader is privately trashing players, the question is whether players can still trust his process. But
so this guy now is in charge of the NFLPA.
Yeah, he's the NFLPA president. Mm-hmm.
So when he was the executive, he's been now voted in charge, and he is actively talking about. No, he doesn't necessarily.
Who is he
I know
talking
Bryson. Russell Wilson, and how he's ruined, and talking about it in a public text message manner. I mean, I guess it's not public.
So
do
you think he's right? But isn't it good what Russell Wilson did? Is it
good that he got a bunch of money and didn't earn it? I would say no.
No. Hold on. I'm not saying he didn't earn it. I'm saying the fact that he got that contract, is that good or bad for the players?
Well, it's bad.
It's bad for the players to have a contract like that.
It is. And that's essentially his sentiment, right? As an NFL PA executive, now president.
But when they gave him that contract, he hadn't even played for them yet. They gave him 2 contracts. When they first signed him to Denver, they had a contract. And then like 3 months later, they gave him another contract before he even played.
They gave him all this guaranteed dollars up front.
Mr. PA.
I know.
Why did they give him 2 contracts?
Well, because they had buyer's remorse on the first one, and they go, look, we got to go back.
Double down?
No,
they tripled down and bought more of him.
No, they maneuvered money because they were screwed up front with the guarantees is what happened. And Russell, if memory serves,
better contract the second time. That's what happened.
I don't think so. They did not.
Yes,
Russell Wilson was a dumpster fire right out of the gate, and they knew it. They knew right away.
That was after they gave him the contract. They gave him that big-ass contract before he played one snap. It was all off hype. And the fact that they gave him 2 contracts, that's how he won even more, because he's saying, we already signed a contract. Now you want to change it up. Well, it's going to help me. And I'm not trying to argue against what you're saying is wrong for a player to get that contract, but that's the team's fault for messing up on the first contract. So it's like, this isn't a really good example to use against players having guaranteed money. I mean, I don't know too much about contracts, but I hear that like, oh, he's got 20 million with 30 million. No, 30 million with 20 million guaranteed. I hear that all the time. So what did Russell Wilson really do that we don't hear about all the time? It is that he got, let's say that example of 30 million with 20 million guaranteed. He was given the whole guarantee of everything, but he was given that the second time.
Just want to point out, Tonk, just so you understand a little bit of what happened. Russell Wilson, in the 2 years they signed that fully guaranteed deal, and he got it. That guy, under a 3-year deal, which they retained, they had this weird retaining because they gave him to the Steelers. They traded him to the Steelers, but they had to eat all the money.
Yeah.
And 2022, 2023, and I guess you could say 2024, because they're on the hook for all that. They paid him $122 million for nothing, essentially, because they had drafted Bo Nix and the coach lost the job, and the team's owner sold the fucking franchise. Like they literally, all that happened because they put this money into Russell Wilson. That's what all that shit happened. They sold the team. They fucking fired everybody from top to bottom. It's not named John fucking Elway, and they got his ass up out of there. And it cost him $122 million. And this guy was basically like, "Yo, this motherfucker, he messed it up for everybody, essentially." Right? Let's listen in because it's a little bit more right now. He's what Pablo Torre is saying is that, hey, this executive was, who represents the players, is talking bad about one of the players he represents because of these things. Now, I kind of agree with homie on his sentiment about Russell Wilson and how, kind of screwed it up because he got this max mega freaking deal contract and really kind of set back players getting that with his piss poor performance. It set back whatever type of progression they were trying to get with guaranteed deals like we're looking at right now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's a linchpin that you can say, hey, look at this. It's an example. Look what Russell Wilson did to them. I mean, it's just the facts. So let's continue.
But is it reason? Is it proper reason to keep this information from agents, players, people who could take this and parlay it into something that would be good for all players? And if nothing else, put the league on the defensive and make them be more careful and make them not attempt to collude and not actually collude at these management council meetings, and maybe take a step back and ask themselves, should we even have a management council? Because everything we're doing here is kind of collusive. By hiding all of that.
So what he's talking about is that this was brought up with that exec back in March of 2022 when Roger Goodell encouraged all these teams to reduce these guaranteed contracts. And the example on the docket is Russell Wilson and what it's done to that franchise and how it's hurt. Do you know, I think y'all forget, the Broncos that year had, I think, 8 primetime games. Not only was it ugly, but it was ugly in primetime like every other week. It hurt the brand, bro. Now, is this collusion? I get that there's people out there saying that that they're colluding and there's to
Who is collusion? The teams or the players?
no. Okay, so this is at the owners meeting that they're talking
Oh,
all
okay,
about this. The commissioner, that's their meeting, and they're
Oh,
calling
okay,
this.
okay. So this is a different, because you were saying in reference to veteran players, they're trying to screw over veteran players. You know,
Well,
and
that's-
I've seen this as a practice in my career. I've seen owners.
Of course, buddy. I've seen people who've been with companies 40 years and they get screwed. They fire them
Yeah.
so they don't have to pay them. Some new department gets
Well, they
made.
take away. I've seen them. Because he made the most money off of one project.
No, that
so
what
they
they
gave him less projects because he was
Yeah,
getting
that-
the most money off of a project.
yeah, they always figure a way to subvert. And guess
So-
what? That's the company's that's the company's priority. They're into making money. And I got to be real. People kind of forget. It was so much hype that the NFL gave the Broncos and especially Russell Wilson. They gave him all of these primetime games. Russell Wilson, let's ride. He was back on top of the mountain, the sparkling, shining, whatever. And it was so god awful to watch. It was so forced. It was like watching a sitcom slash like
It's like-
drama nonsense with all the extra camera time that they put on Russell Wilson. And let's not forget, like, he had that, isn't his wife like an influencer or some fucking housewives
Tiara.
bullshit? Yeah. It's like that, like they tried to mend reality TV with the NFL in this Russell Wilson deal. And the NFL kind of like backed it with all this nonsense. And not only did it blow up in their face, but it literally damn near crippled a franchise which really they handled 122 million on the cap that they paid in 3 years and moved off it and found themselves in a great position. That's an amazing run franchise over there to do something like that. But what they're essentially saying is that him hiding this information of this discussion about Russell Wilson when it was mentioned about, hey, we gotta encourage teams to not reduce the guarantees in veterans contracts with this in mind. Sounds to me like they were colluding because they understand these young kids are coming up wanting for some more money and the minimum. But is it collusion or is it just business as normal? That's what I wonder. Let's listen into the rest of this.
That if it's true that it was just done to protect JC Treader from having to deal with the blowback of saying what he said about Russell Wilson, that in and of itself to me is inexcusable if that's true.
Maybe even more pressing than what this does to the odds of JC Treader's, future dream job is what this quote actually meant in the context of this real life collusion investigation. Because what I'm told is that the owners actually used JC Treader blaming Russell Wilson as evidence of non-collusion. Because what JC Treader is saying there, to be very clear about this, is that the reason Russell Wilson didn't get a fully guaranteed contract is because he's not smart enough, not strategic enough to push hard enough for it. And not because the owners were colluding against Russell Wilson or Lamar Jackson or Kyler Murray or the players. JC Treader was blaming the player instead of the owners. And the owners were like, this feels like a very helpful bit of evidence for what we're trying to prove, which is that this case should be dismissed. And by the way, not unrelatedly, the case ultimately was.
So what they're digging through with what JC Treader has done by being a representative of the Players Association, an ex-player, and then also the NFL Owners Association using what this ex-player of the Players Association as an example to protect themselves for collusion, because they're saying they're colluding and whatever. There's what the strings that they're putting together is that the NFLPA and its representatives are working hand in hand with the owners to to work against the players and what their guaranteed dollars are. And I got to be honest, it looks like a bit of a stretch to say something like that, because what JC Treader said ain't friggin' wrong. It's not wrong. Russell Wilson did more harm to any case they have to give money and have guarantees like that. If Russell Wilson would have lived up to his contract obligations as a veteran, he was, God, how old was he again? He was 34 years old when he signed. I mean, that's not young, but it's not old. If he would have lived up to the contract obligations of that, we'd be singing a different tale. We really would. But that's not the case. And to me, I think this collusion type of thing is going to fall apart. And I think they're going to fall it apart because, yes, they could get the Congress. They could do all this. That ain't going to happen. I think they're ultimately going to give these second-round players the guarantees that they want, and they're going to feel like they've won something and that they have this optics dirt on the NFL owners with saying that they're colluding and the NFLPA and, you know, they're doing this and blah blah blah, and they're gonna think they won, and I think they're actually losing.
So the issue at hand is the fact that Russell Wilson's fully guaranteed contract hurt them, is what they're saying, because he didn't pan out. Essentially, is that what they're saying?
No, what they're saying is that the guy who spoke on it, that is the NFL player executive guy, spoke about it, and then it was obtained in some fashion or another by the NFL executives to essentially use that as the example and the okay at the example to not give guarantees, and they all agree upon it, right? And that they go, yes, we're all agreeing upon it as owners at the owner association, in which case is in itself a little bit of collusion, right? As far as, you know, being a employer and the union, because that's what we'll look at it. These employers and are these 32 different businesses under this one company are now all working together against the union, and the union should be pissed about it, and they're going to fight for it.
Not, are they?
And well, they are, but one of their own has stuck his foot in their mouth about their player.
Yeah, I don't think he stuck his foot in his mouth at all. What is his title?
He was executive.
He's the president of the NFLPA now.
Of the NFL what?
PA.
And what does PA stand for?
Players Association.
Right. And what is that? That's a players union, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
So he is the president of the NFLPA.
That's right.
Is that what you're telling me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right. So he was elected to speak for the people. See, the union is much like a little mini United States. Okay. It's collective bargaining, and it is a collective, but it's like a little mini United States. They have an elected president. That president speaks for them. And so he's not going to stick his foot in his mouth unless he's speaking for, what did we say the other night? 1,600 and
whatever players
minus 32. So it's not so much that the NFL is, maybe they are colluding. Maybe you could define it as that. But the reason they have the endorsement of the NFLPA is because, and again, this isn't about Denver. Denver might be the evidence, but he doesn't just speak for Denver and its players and their concerns, which, by the way, as an elected person, likely is speaking because his constituents called him up and said, "Hey, we suck
was
as
via
a team.
text.
We suck as a team because there ain't enough money to go around for the next 20 billion years because of this guaranteed contract we gave to a 90-year-old quarterback." And if that means that, and again, he doesn't just speak for Denver, which means other team players are voicing those concerns to him. That's his job. He's doing his job. So even though it may look like it supports the NFL colluding, the players would support the collusion against the 32 players who are trying to separate and create a second class of player, which is the ones that are, quarterbacks and should get guaranteed contracts. And this ain't just about Russell Wilson. The article I read about the whole thing about a week and a half ago was referencing Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns.
Mm-hmm. Again, I understand it. This just looks ultimately on all sides.
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily think he's. I'm just saying. Pause on.
Color. Doesn't this look like the blueprint?
I don't think I think everything they say is carefully planned. And if he's speaking what he said, he is speaking that on behalf of the the majority of players.
I'm sure that it was common practice. The thing that they're calling it colluding with one department with the other. They're essentially, people are saying that the NFL owners, along with the now president of the NFL Players Association, are colluding to screw the players. That's their driving home point. And I would say it's a little bit of a stretch, at best. I don't know how much collusion, if it's just his distastefulness on how Russell Wilson hurt NFL players and guaranteeing more dollars by him sucking.
Well, bro, it also has to do with the collective bargaining agreement, because how can the collective go and bargain as a collective when 32 of the players are making it less possible for them to get concessions because the owners are like, well, we don't have the money for that. Well, we don't have the money for that. Well, we don't have the money for that. And the rest of the players are like, well, we're never going to get half these concessions in our collective bargaining agreement because 32 of the players are separating themselves from the collective. I mean, like it or not, it's a union. It's a collective. That it's literally called collective bargaining.
It literally is. It's literally colluding collective. So again, is this holdout with the second round picks and all of this information now coming to light just a month ago of these types of things? Is this just is this a response to that? Is this them kind of forcing their hand, the NFL Players Association? Is this the agencies?
Well, here's the other thing.
Going rogue.
What choice do the players have when they go to the table to collectively bargain and say, well, we want incentives to play an 18th game, right? And the NFL is like, well, and the owners are like, well, we're going to make $1 gajillion off an 18th game, but guess what that's going to cover? These guaranteed contracts for the quarterbacks. So the players are like, so we're going to have to go out and play an extra game every year just so Russell Wilson can have a what?
And there, I mean,
yeah, but I mean, okay.
I mean, that's just one example of how it could affect, the snowball effect or the butterfly effect of, Yeah,
it's hard to really nail that point home with the fact that they paid him all that money. Hold on a second. That they paid him all that money, and then the Broncos in short order draft another quarterback, and now they're back in the playoffs making noise.
I know. I'm just saying that I'm not saying that I personally believe one way or the other. I'm simply saying that if 1,200 of the 1,600 players emailed what's his name and voicing the concerns that I'm logically presenting, then I don't think it was a foot in his mouth.
Well, I don't know.
You should put something else in his mouth.
There's gross. There's a look. I understand how the optics look, and this very well may be in response to that, because it was about guaranteed dollars that the owners say they don't want to do, and the NFLPA executive, now president, was like, of course we're not going to get guarantees. Look at what Russell Wilson did, and how they used this to collude against Lamar Jackson and not give him the guarantees, because in 2022, when that discussion came about, and they're like, look at Russell Wilson, this is what gave them license to do everything they did with Lamar Jackson. Now, I gotta be honest, I find it to be a little bit more. I find it to be a little bit more about that Lamar Jackson represented himself, or his mother represented him, and that might be a little bit more of the reason why they were harder on him ultimately. But this other facts coming out that, hey, it was literally a mandate and they collude together. I mean, look,
I don't know. I think,
as far as here's what I know. Before the owners meeting, when Lamar Jackson was out there, and you can go back in the logs, I was like, I'm hearing they're really going to get this friggin' guy. I'm hearing that Lamar Jackson is wanting the money to price him out of Baltimore, and that Miami was going to meet those obligations potentially. And after the owners meeting, that was gone. It was gone. No one to sit there and say, hey, yeah, you know what, you go ahead and we'll transition tag you, go ahead and look. Well, now after the owners meeting, no one's gonna buy. They're not gonna do that. We just talked about it. We're not gonna do it, and we're gonna make an example out of Lamar Jackson by, you're going to stay with this team and you're going to get these dollars, and that's the end of it, and blah, 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 blah. And that's kind of what they're pointing out, that's what happened to Lamar because of this, because of that, and all around. And you know what? Kind of did.
It sounds like a whole bunch of people own. I'm gonna because Talk's trying to say something, but his volume was really low. I mic'd him up.
Oh, sorry. Here, is that better?
No problem. I just wanted to just conclude by saying that before you get cooking, Tonk, that I think there's about 3/4 of everybody involved, players, union, owners, NFL commissioner, that are collectively giving a big finger to the quarterback. So that's what it looks like to me, bro. I'm just saying.
And rightfully so. Go ahead, Tom.
I think they're using Russell Wilson as an excuse because of the contract that he got, but that contract was Denver's fault. And I don't necessarily see them having as an issue. I don't see it so much as an issue of trying to like move around how you pay players, if that affects veteran players. But how long have the veteran players been playing? You know, have they had a whole career of football?
There's too much context. There's too much context to say something like that in a blanket statement. But go ahead.
But what I'm saying is, like with the guaranteed money, I think they're using the wrong example to be against it or to complain against it. So to use
the easy example would be the Deshaun Watson, who got
that's a better example.
49 million guaranteed, and literally I don't even know if he's ever played football for that team, as far as I can remember.
He may have given them 8 games, solid.
Well, it was like what's his name that played on the Ravens? Ed Reed. He got injured, and then he signed with Texans. He barely ever played when he was in Houston.
Well, we see this all the time. Miami's been perpetrated. We signed to keep Talib, traded, and we paid off all this money.
It's just like, why are they? I don't know. I feel like they're trying to make a mountain out of a molehill of Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson didn't destroy the NFL for the next 20 seasons because of one contract. It's just, I don't know. I think it's I think they could do better than that as an argument,
especially since they did a good
and
job
it
drafting
was,
Bo Nix.
He got 2 contracts, so whose fault is that?
Well, again,
You know?
the
It's stupid.
The second, if memory serves me, Tonk, the second contract was a rework for them to get out, and they had to give money, and he like
how I
voided
understood it
out
was
30
he
years.
got more the second contract.
No, he didn't. They had to pay him to leave, but because I want to say he signed like I can't remember, and I just had it up, but he had like say like a 5-year deal for like $200 million, right? Well, they ended up getting out on the third year of that 5-year guaranteed with the second rework, in which case they were out $122 million over 3 years, and Russell Wilson kind of like let him off the hook. That's kind of what happened in that situation.
Why? I don't know. You trying to use him to make
it's not about his money or anything like that. It's about what they're using his failured big money deal with high guarantees.
Using it the wrong way.
No, they're not. They're using it the exact right way. Here was the latest quarterback that signed a big money. They just used it for veterans, but what they mean by that, because with this talk, they immediately implemented it to Lamar Jackson, and they're saying that there's collusion involved with this, and potentially there really is. And now I think we're seeing the byproduct of players demanding for guarantees, in which case, who knows how it's going to go. That's going to be something to monitor. It's going to be something to see how it ebbs and flows all throughout this whole thing. Also camp, again, Dolphins camp started, not a lot going on. Again, there's not going to be, not going to be any videos till the next couple of weeks when they start getting into some light practicing and then some more practicing and then really getting into camp.
Tyreek Hill race a bunch of cheerleaders or something.
Yeah, he's going to race little kids and stuff like that. It's going to be great. But make sure everybody is hitting the like button, subscribing if you're new. Want to make sure you guys are tuning in to all the good stuff around the program. You got Tonk on Thursdays with TMI. You got Color coming back at you, hopefully with some color commentaries. You got Ali doing the late night exhale and other things around these parts. Also, make sure to check out Ali at 410U doing the college stuff. And then, Shake Money, who's always out, always about the homie, with the West Coast Dolphin fans. Shout out to the boys, getting it moving over there. Winners and, Papa Paul and Shake doing the insomnias and the late night exhales not late night exhales. Well, he did have Shake Night exhale. That was pretty fun. But the drive times and all that good stuff, man. Make sure you guys are checking out all the content. And you guys got anything before we go?
Just one more thing. Like Bryson said, he said he got one extension. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Again,
that's the one. So that was a second contract.
He says, look, he got one extension, and then they changed the guaranteed money in 2025 later down the road. I'm seeing I'm not seeing a second contract is what he's saying. I don't see it on here either, but again, I'm not pulling through and I'm just
2 contracts
buzzing around. Maybe. Who knows?
And I thought it was honestly.
I know he just got a contract from the Jets.
They did. No offense to Russell Wilson. I was like, why are they doing that? He hasn't even played for him. And I remember even watching it on PTI. They're like, he hasn't even played it down, and you gave him a contract like that.
No, it probably hasn't played it down since the injury. But either way,
before he even played.
I got to be honest, Tonk. I don't give 2 flying fucks about him or his contract.
You're the one who brought this up. You're the one who's been talking about it for the last 30 minutes. What are you talking about?
You keep getting in the details of how much money he made and re-signed this second deal, and that has nothing to do with the topic at hand, and that it's more along the lines.
But they're using him as an example. What are you talking about?
They're using him as an example to say, fuck you, and they're colluding. That's what they're doing. We ain't paying fucking chumps like him, and we're going to use
sucks at contracts.
Sure. what they're saying
So
is
let's
ultimately
punish everybody for it.
That's right. That's right. We're going to punish Lamar Jackson for Russell Wilson being a fucking
exactly. That's exactly
piece of
what
shit.
they're. That's exactly.
That's exactly what
So,
they did, and
let's
that's what
all
they're
stand
saying
up
that they
for
don't want to. That's
Let's
not
all
fair
stand
to
up.
Lamar
It's
Jackson
not.
and other people.
Exactly.
And that's
it's not.
it. Has nothing. Who gives a fuck? You know what Russell Wilson did? He made a
But
fuck
that's
ton
the
of money
person that
and
they're
didn't
using
earn
as
none of
an
it.
example. So that's who we're talking
No.
about. If you're going
They're
to use
using
him, as an
him.
example-
God damn it, Tonk again. They're not using him as an example. They're using the NFL executive that said shit about him in his contract as their example.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That the guy who was talking shit about Russell Wilson, he's the problem.
He's the guy who's running their
They're
negotiation
using him,
tables.
So this issue is
he's
from
now
him.
their president.
Yeah, and
to
he's
negotiate.
He's not doing a good job. He's not doing a good job.
And that's where people. That's
if
a
lawsuit happens because of your president,
well, that's where they say it's collusion. He's failed at his job.
Yeah,
and the NFL literally has him over a barrel with these statements to do what they want to do, and that's kind of like where they're at. And now now people are asking for what more, what more is up to this guy. That's essentially what it is. So Ali, anything?
I just want to say thank you everybody for coming to watch the show. Make sure you hit the like button. The chat's been wild. They've been talking about mannequins and cock the entire show.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that.
And they're also having a spelling bee also going on.
Apparently,
and by the way, cockroach is actually spelled one word, not two words. So by definition, you're talking about cock. Just so you know that. But anyway, hit the like button. Thank you very much for hanging out.
I think he meant it like that. Like he's a cockroach.
Okay. I'll give it.
Not the side with CB83.
Put a cockroach sticker or emoji.
I've seen it.
I'm not trying to side with CB83. I'm not trying to side with CB83, but I do believe if CCRR was correct, then Gumby would be pronounced gummy.
Yeah, that flew.
That is true.
Head. Like fucking.
Wait, let me ask you: Is there a different spelling in English? I don't think there is.
But you know what? How do we know Gumby wasn't supposed to be pronounced gummy?
Because it was Gumby on the show.
Character?
Wait, yeah, where's CCRR from? Is he from New Zealand or Australia?
He said gummy, not Gumby. Color. He said gummy.
I know, but he's spelling it Gumby.
Him and CB83 are arguing,
but at the same time, real quick,
DUMBY.
If you
it is spelled that way.
No, it's DUMMY.
MMY. Yes, you're right.
Right. And somebody else popped in and said it used to be spelled DUMBY.
Oh yeah.
Like probably before the Truman changed. You know what I mean? Or whoever changed it.
Well, here's the thing, right?
Well, he was the one
that if you spell numb,
right?
With the B, but how you getting a nummy?
We say NUMBY, not NUMMY. So I think it should be DUMBY. I hate to side with CB83.
It's like the dove, okay?
Yeah, it's a silent B.
And learning
English. I have to side with CCRR.
I'm not siding with CCRR. I don't like silent letters like that make no sense. A silent B is
like Joe's the one that said it. Dummy is outdated. So it's pre-Truman. Because Truman came out and took the U out of color. And
that's who.
And he changed the spelling of center to
because he was like FU to English
instead of PRE.
To English from England.
No, they're always just changing the ways things are. So
there was an actual executive order.
I'll tell you why. So if you go back and translate old text, you can't read them. That's why.
But there was actually an
There
was actually
they
an
want you to
executive
forget.
order.
It's just like you can't.
Stupid.
It's just like they don't write cursive anymore. I literally saw a post today, and
yeah.
it was cursive, and it was ugly. It was
Oh, dude,
pretty,
my
but it was
cursive-
ugly
Yeah, they don't
cursive.
connect the
The only
letters
reason I know
anymore. They
cursive
don't
is
connect
'cause in
half the
college-
letters.
No. The boys aren't listening to me. It was perfect cursive, but it was done in a way in which it was meant to be hard to see, and the word was minimum.
So that's
Okay?
calligraphy.
The word minimum, no,
That's-
god damn it, boys. It was just fucking cursive. And if
Yeah,
you look
but
at the
it's
word
drawn in
minimum
way.
with the da 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 da, and if you make tiny little dots for the eyes, it literally just looks like juk, 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 juk,
Right.
like this. And
Right.
it's literally how it looks. They made tiny little eyes in there, and they
Cursiv's
did
got
it purposely.
stimulates,
Someone wrote it down, and no one can get what it was. And I seen it, and I was like, it says minimum, But that's my point. There'll be and 20 years from now, no one will know what any of that cursive says. So
Well, it's like
that's
with
the
clocks.
facts.
Nobody can read clocks anymore.
And guess what? You know what? If I'm in my 50s, 60s, and I'm trying to control the world and
Fucking globalist.
control the youth,
Dude, it's
I-
globalist.
all of my secret notes would be on paper, and it would be written in cursive, and only the people, at least in my, you know what I'm saying? Like, good luck.
Right. And guess
You know
who's
what I'm
not
saying?
gonna be able to-
Yes.
Guess who's not going to know how
Only
to
on
do it?
paper
Right,
and only
right.
in cursive, a fucking E.
And listen-
Tonk, guess who's not going to be able to
It's
understand
just
all that
like, that's why
nor
we
read
don't
a
hear
clock?
bells. That's why
AI,
we don't hear bells.
AI
Poor
will
people.
not be able to read a clock or understand all that.
Well, listen, to me, it has nothing to do with AI, boys. It's got to do with
It's the same reason
control.
bells
It's the
aren't
same
around
thing,
anymore.
like,
You don't hear
people who-
bells anymore. Even school alarms are the most annoying fucking sounds. When a school was changing its time, like recess,
Half went
whatever.
full mic mute.
Fuck
He's
it.
like, fuck it.
All right, make sure you guys are hitting the like button. Here's the sound of the bell. We'll see you guys.